Hello, my spooky friends. This is John, and welcome to another episode of Dairyland Frights, the paranormal podcast that covers everything spooky, creepy, and mysterious in the Midwest. And again, I'm blessed by more spooky guests, great guests on the podcast today. I have Matt and Hanna from the Horror Hour with Hannah's podcast, with the Hannah's podcast. How you guys doing?
We're good. We're excited to be here.
Thanks for having us.
I'm Hanna.
And I'm Matt Hanna. And we make up Horror Hour with the Hannas.
Yep.
I thought Hanna had the beard. I'm confused now. Now I'm totally confused. You guys confused me. I don't know what's going on. I know, but anyway, tell me about your podcast. Let my spooky friends know a little bit about you and what you guys do on your podcast there.
So we're a horror movie review podcast with a main focus on really dissecting the thematic analysis of a movie and how all of the parts of it come together to service those themes. So that's more the structured side of it, but then there's like a lot of room for us to kind of goof off, riff, talk about these movies and like how they work, why they work so well or why they don't work well. An easy tagline is I think we're trying to combat media illiteracy one episode at a time.
Yeah.
So
I love it. Yeah, I've listened to your podcast and my spooky friends out there, do yourself a favor. Listen to them. They're not a critic. Okay, so I want to stress that enough. Matt and Hanna are not like, well, I thought the third act of the blah, 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 blah. The kind of, but not real, that dry critic stuff where you're like,
we try to keep it exciting. Like I said, it's a lot of there's like a lot of goofiness that still goes on, but then when it comes down to it, it's like we really want to dive into like why these movies are great or not so great. Like it's really into like it's in English class a little bit,
but in like
a little more fun
way.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about you guys. And you're married. So what's funny about that is I tell everyone, I've been married 25 years and you have different opinions, just like my wife and I. And we've been married so long, I don't even want to. Right? We still have different opinions. And that's what I love about married couples, from married paranormal investigators to married couples like you doing movies to, whatever out there. I just love it because being a married person for a long time, I'm like, yeah, okay, it can be fun. And sometimes
Yeah. We've had someone like reached out and they were like, oh my gosh, like I love your dynamic. And I was like, well, we are married, so that's probably why.
Right. Absolutely. So before we get to the movies and dive into some of the movies here and kind of give our opinion on some, we developed by the way, different categories. It kind of, if you haven't seen these movies, I'd recommend them. We tried to bring a good variety. I know Matt and Hanna has their list too. But before we get into that, I would like to ask, I'm going to start with you, Hanna. Talk about some of your paranormal experiences if you've had any.
So I am from a small old historical town in New Jersey, right along the Delaware. So that like famous photo of Washington crossing the Delaware is like a mile from where I grew up.
Wow.
It is apparently very haunted. There's like a haunted ghost tour every year, and I've been 3 times, and the places that they go to are never the same because there are just apparently so many haunted houses in my hometown. So
can I also say her town's the homes here are like hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Like they're historic homes.
Yeah. So when I was younger, my friend lived like a couple streets over. So I used to go there all the time, like after school and stuff. So that was like middle school, high school. And I remember one day I was like an asshole. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you can swear.
Okay.
We're all good.
Okay.
We're all good.
Right. Just check in because I have a potty mouth.
Yeah, we cursed all the time on this, so.
Yeah, I've heard it. Potty mouth.
So just being a little shit, I was like, I'm gonna hide in her closet and jump out at her. And I just remember like sitting there, just like, something is in this closet with me. I'm so uncomfortable. I can't be here. And I kind of just chalked it up to like, I'm a scaredy cat and I don't like the dark. So I ended up like leaving, running downstairs and being like, okay, your home scares me. I think I gotta go. And so we just like never really talked about that because it wasn't important. And like a week later, she goes, oh, the other day my phone was charging in that closet, and look at these weird pictures that are on my phone that were taken, like timestamped for the time that my phone was in the closet. And so we're like looking at them, and they were like really grainy, like just kind of like shadowed photos in like shapes that kind of just looked like a looming person, kind of grim reaper shape. So I was like, okay, that's not cool. And so over time, she would just kind of be like, oh, random photos keep falling off our wall, or the dog just keeps barking at the same wall of the photos, and we'll just like sit there all day and bark at the wall. And so I bring this up to my mom because I'm like, Mom, this is so weird. My mom goes, well, their house was on the paranormal tour last year. And I guess I just like never put it together that I had literally been on the paranormal tour, looked at her home, learned about the hauntings there, or the supposed haunting, and then like been in the home and been like, all of that is weird. And then later, so like not like huge occurrences, kind of small things that you could chalk up to other things, but like having the then knowledge that it has been rumored to be haunted for years and years and years before they lived there or before I experienced anything, which is kind of like, it feels too weird to be a coincidence. And then another place that I lived in, it used to be like a giant mansion that was then broken up into apartment buildings. And again, I did not know that this was supposedly haunted when I lived there. And again, I didn't see anything like glaring, but it was more just like this negative vibe that like I certainly don't have in this apartment I live in now. I've lived in other places where I just like, there's like a feeling you get that's different in some places than it is others. And I just would have this overwhelming, negative, uncomfortable feeling, especially in the basement.
I went in that basement. I didn't like it either.
It's the worst basement of all time.
It's like it's an old house basement. Like you said, this was, as you described, like a massive house that they just put walls to make it an apartment, which was kind of sad. But that basement.
But like you would go down that basement and just this like feeling of
oppression
was
so
apparent. And I remember I brought that up to my mom too, and she was like, well, newsflash, this house isn't on the haunted tour ever here. And I asked my mom, because I like didn't really live there full time. I only lived there one summer when I came home from college. My mom lived there full time. And so I remember asking her, like, have you seen anything, or do you just get that feeling too? And she was like, I haven't seen anything, but some of the neighbors have said that they have seen a woman. And so this year we go on the paranormal tour this past October, and the story is down the line. It's basically that there's a woman who
walks out
along the path right in front of the home.
Okay.
It's part of the, and there's like historical background related to, you know, why she.
There's an assumption of who she is, and
right.
I don't know from the tour.
So that was all very interesting, just to like be from an area that's like that.
Right.
And then like talking to other people who do or don't believe. I'm like, no, I kind of believe, because just like
right. And you know, basements are always strange in the sense that not all basements are like this. Like my basement is nothing haunted or anything. You know, it's just my house was built in the 1990s, so it's not like, you know, and I'm not on like, at least I don't know if I'm on Native American burial ground with, you know what I'm saying? But I'm pretty sure I'm not. But the town I'm in Spring Green, Wisconsin, we have homes from the 1800s, and it's just right near me, you know, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. You know, my neighborhood was built obviously years later. But basements, they're just something about them, right? There's just something weird about a lot of basements and everything. Did you ever are you familiar with shadow people?
Not super familiar.
That's what you see when you take a lot of Benadryl, right?
So, like, shadow people are pretty much in every, you can even say it to a horror movie where you see like this, like Insidious, maybe movie where you see like this dark shadow coming into the room. Have you ever seen anything like that? Any dark shadows come into the basement or anything like that?
Not that I can recall or anything, although I
Okay.
have had sleep paralysis and certainly saw that. But
Oh, yeah, that's sleep paralysis. That's
yeah,
nasty.
it's always
Oh,
basically shadow people that I see when I have sleep
yeah,
paralysis, so that's not fun.
crazy.
But
So, Matt, can you top it? I heard you're kind of a
No,
skeptic.
I got nothing. That's probably why I'm a skeptic. I mean, I believe Hannah. I believe the stuff. I think it's really
Mhm.
cool. I just maybe I shouldn't. I'm not a skeptic of individual people. I think I'm a skeptic of a lot of paranormal investigators. I mean, that's where it comes in. We've talked
Okay.
about
All right.
friends a lot because they've
yeah,
watched the Conjuring movies, and I will go on record saying I think they're complete frauds.
They are, by the
But
way.
yeah.
yeah. And so that's where I sit on that. I've just never had anything too crazy happen,
Well,
but that doesn't mean I'm like I completely don't
you
believe.
also like grew up in new construction, right? Like you lived the first
Mhm.
27 years of your life
Yeah,
in a house
so
that
it's
was
built in the
built
70s or whatever.
for,
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah,
so it's very
right.
different than like, I don't know, growing up somewhere where that house has been around for over 200 years, which is kind of like my
Right.
experience.
Right.
You know where it all
And
went wrong for me? There was
huh,
when I was in fifth grade, we were
yeah.
supposed to go to Gettysburg, and they would do this overnight field trip, right, to Gettysburg, and they would do
Yes.
the ghost tour. And when I hit third grade, they changed the curriculum. I was like waiting for every year. You'd hear about the fifth graders
Yeah.
going and the cameras turning off while they're trying to take photos, seeing like orbs and things.
Yeah.
They changed the
Right.
curriculum, and then we didn't get to go. I get to go to
Oh.
Fort Ligonier and Fort Pitt, which I was like, I can go there anytime.
Oh yeah, those.
And I was forever disappointed. Now I'm a skeptic because
Oh. Matt, they ruined your life. Thanks a
they did.
lot.
I know,
They did.
dang that
The
school
dang
district.
curriculum.
I will say also that I did an episode, or we did an episode with Paranormal in Pennsylvania. We went to
Yeah.
McGillen Jail House with them,
Yes,
and
sir.
I, while with Sarah, had like maybe an experience in the bathroom, which is one of the areas that we did not
Yeah.
know at the time was supposedly haunted.
Ooh.
And so then, like, learning that after, I was like, damn it,
That
why
one
did
was
I
cool,
go
too,
to the
right?
bathroom by myself?
She was in there by herself and closed the door, and then
Uh-huh.
like
The door started
the
shaking.
door started like shaking. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so then I left, ran downstairs, and I was like, Sarah, can you come to the bathroom with me? I don't want to be here alone. And then we used the EMF reader, and it went up to 4 or 5 at the stall that I was in when it started shaking.
Nice.
And then,
Oh, wow. That's where you're most vulnerable, right? You're sitting on the toilet. What can you do?
I was like, I just want to pee.
No experiences there, but I will say the beer was good.
Yeah.
So
All right. See, Matt got something out of it. Hannah got something out of it. By the way, shout out to Sarah, Paranormal in Pennsylvania. Check out her podcast and all her things. She's awesome. I've had her on the show. So let me ask you this. It is Valentine's Day coming up, and I asked this of all my married couples. I'm not going to ask you, Matt, if you're getting her flowers. Don't worry about it. I think flowers are a ripoff, but that's me.
oh, she likes them.
They're pretty in my house.
So Hannah, if a ghost got into bed with Matt, and let's just say she was trying things with Matt, being a little cozy with him, is that cheating on you?
Yeah.
It's like that scene in
What?
Ghostbusters.
Yes, the scene in Ghostbusters. If that's happening to Matt, and Matt, I'm going to put you on the firing line,
Well,
and you just allow it, Matt. Hannah, is that cheating?
Yeah,
I think that's pretty bad.
I feel like, yeah, that's bad. He's allowing it.
Why?
If you can capture the paranormal event, though. You know.
Yeah, I guess I would need, I don't know, pretty concrete proof I wasn't like on something, I guess. But
all right. Let's switch it. Matt, you catch Hannah. Same thing.
I'm too skeptic to care. I'm just like, oh, well, yeah, I don't think I'd appreciate that very much. I'll be getting out of this apartment. I'll tell you that.
Oh, that's true. We'd be moving.
You'd be moving, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just curious because I've had paranormal investigators on, and the women have said, they've went and sat on a bed, and then all of a sudden it felt like a man touching them in places they shouldn't be touched.
Yeah.
I think the problem I have with it is I would find that so funny that was like that a ghost was
Making moves.
making moves that like I don't know if I could be mad. Be like, what?
It's funny, but I'd also be like, okay.
I'd also be like, Hannah, you sure we don't
Yeah,
need to like? What have you taken? You know, like, do we need to go to the hospital?
Yeah, I'd literally be like,
do we need an evaluation?
yeah, like let's go get a test. At the
Oh, that's so
hospital. What
bad.
did you
I
take?
would gaslight the shit out of you and be like,
I know who would gaslight the
you
shit
don't have
out
a
of me.
ghost. Like,
See,
what are you
that's the
talking about?
problem too, is you would gaslight the shit.
I would be like, you're.
That would be
right
like
to the-
time to get back into therapy.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything there.
And then yeah, can you blame me? Can you blame me?
So I have role playing for you guys on February. Matt, why don't you get a ghost like a Charlie Brown, if you remember Charlie Brown, where he had the sheet on with all the holes in it, and just go up to Hannah and just be romantic and see what happens.
Yeah. Well, we didn't make Valentine's Day plans yet, so maybe it is in the cards.
There you go. There we go. Hey, I'm doing a Valentine's Day episode. I did a Valentine's Day episode last year on what they call spectrophilia. Spectrophilia is basically you're in love with a ghost, like women and men who have relationships with ghosts. And there's just crazy stories who women have supposedly married a ghost and got divorced or had a ghost baby. Or it's great stuff. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Cars or ghosts? Or not.
Cars.
I've seen that too.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? I don't know what you do with a car, but okay, I'll let them. Hey, if it doesn't hurt anybody, so much the better, right?
Like
there's a woman that had a relationship with a roller coaster and had to like keep kicking around at the park.
Oh, that's just that's rough.
I wish I remembered which it was, but I've read about it.
Pretty sure there was a My Strange Addiction episode with someone who was in love with their car.
Yeah.
And I have
yeah.
seen
Yeah, that's a real thing. Yeah, that's a real thing. Yeah, people have sex with their car.
We've seen Titan.
Yeah.
Movie.
Anyway, let's move on, shall we? Okay, so on this episode today, we're going to do a little bit different, my spooky friends, because usually we have paranormal stories or paranormal, guests on and everything. I'll talk about haunted homes and everything. We're going to talk about movies, okay? Because I think they do affect people on how they view the paranormal in sometimes a bad way. Because I had a practicing witch from the Netherlands on my podcast. And a lot of people, she said, still view her from like, I don't know, the movie The Witch, Blair Witch Project, where they're evil. They're looking to do something bad. And she's nothing like that. She's very nice, very loving. And she really likes to, help people out when she can. And yes, she does worship. She does worship. She is a Satanist. But again, what Hollywood says are Satanists is not exactly what you think a real Satanist is. Because I've met some, and they're some of the nicest people you've ever met in your life. They're not killing babies. They're not covered in blood in the basement in a pentagram, having Satan have whatever Satan does with. No, they're actually sweet people. Some of the nicest people you ever met in your life. So
I recently saw an amazing clip of Satanists. They went to a hearing for whatever state this was happening in, where they're trying to push for religion in school or religious services in school.
Right.
Which, like, come on, separation of church and state, So the Satanists came and they were like, we are against this movement. We shouldn't do it. However, if it passes, we will be there. We're happy to come in and we will have our clerics, or not clerics, but whatever they ministers of Satan come in, and we're going to do lessons for the kids and all this stuff. And I loved that, because I was like, though that's such a good way for them to scare the shit out of
Playing on that.
yeah, playing on
Mhm.
but also scare the shit out of the people that are trying to push this
Right.
bill or whatever law that is what
That's
I think
stupid.
unconstitutional. So because
Yeah.
I'm
But
sure that those they're gonna panic.
yeah. So we're
We're
gonna
all
do
about
different. And again, if you're in Hollywood, you don't want to have a really nice Satanist story. Typically, you want something to scare people, right? You want blood, guts, and not a nice person walking down the street going, "Hey, how can I help you?" Like that's not that's a horror movie? No. Doesn't work that way. So we're going to do different categories I came up with, and then I will get Matt and Hannah's list. But one of the things I first have to do is check my sources. So I always tell my sources. So I use 3 different ones. There's plenty out there if you want to go and look at some horror movies if you haven't seen them. By the way, I still feel the Japanese do horror better than anybody. I think the Japanese knock it out of the park. I don't know why, but Japanese horror movies always scare the crap out of me.
This is something we've actually talked about on our podcast a lot, and it's specifically that foreign horror is just so different because every culture has different things that scare them.
Mm-hmm.
So we always try to highlight when we do our foreign horror, or as I've said before, horror directed by women, because horror directed by women is also, I think, it comes from a completely different place of fear, and
absolutely,
you really get something like different out of it. So we're big fans as well. I know we both have at least one French horror film on our list. So
yes,
also
absolutely,
yes,
absolutely.
I have a couple foreign language movies on my list, I think.
Nice. So here's some of the sources I use: Ranker site, BFI. .org, as well as WatchMojo and IMBD. All of them had different, well, for the most part, had different lists and different ideas of what they thought was the best horror movie out there. So I also used Collider too, because they had some pretty good stuff in there. So, like I said, today, we're going to talk about some of our favorite horror movies and why we like them. What makes a good horror movie? So prepare to be scared and careful. You never know what's lurking in the shadows. Ah! Okay, that's my bad scream, but
it's pretty good.
I buy it.
Yeah, I buy it.
Okay. By the way, there are some actresses and actors out there. I don't know where they learned to scream, but my God, they just unbelievable. Probably did it in post, but that's a whole different thing. Anyway, so let's get right into it. So here's my top 5. Okay, scary movies. And if you haven't seen these, highly recommend it. I'm not going to get into a lot of these, to be honest with you. Matt, if you kind of want to add, or Hannah want to add some things to this, please do. But my first scary movie is The Conjuring. My second is The Exorcist. Third one is Nightmare on Elm Street, A Nightmare on Elm Street. My next one is Evil Dead. And last but certainly not least, The Ring. So, what do you guys think? Got a different list?
I mean, I have a different list, but I do like this list.
Yeah.
I think the Conjuring number 1 is interesting, but I understand.
I have a question. Is it like an actual, like your actual rank order of where you would put them, or just in general 5 that you like?
Well, that's a great question, because okay, so I've seen The Conjuring like 10 times and I still get scared. I've seen The Exorcist. Yeah, I've seen The Exorcist 5 or 6 times. I usually watch it around Halloween. I do my Halloween marathon where I just get a bunch of these old and I just watch it. And then I just watch it in the summertime. By the way, my favorite time to watch horror movies is the summertime. Why, you may ask? Because I kind of leave the windows open. It's dark out. You hear the bugs, the cicadas, whatever you want to call them out there. And it's just, right? I don't know. It gets me in the mood. So I don't know. Conjuring, definitely number 1. Exorcist, definitely number 2. And this is where I kind of, I could switch around. Like Nightmare on Elm Street, Evil Dead, The Ring. I could switch those around. So, yeah. But my top 2 are still Conjuring, Exorcist.
So I love The Conjuring. and we've talked about it on our podcast a lot. And I think something that movie does so well is it has three very distinctly different acts that I think keep it fresh. Where like first one straightforward haunting, second one's this like happy family drama, and the third act just goes full on like almost over the top action movie in ways where you have Patrick Wilson doing the exorcism standing on the October closet. I love it. It like accelerates in a way that really works for me. I also have given The Conjuring props for, I think, ushering in a horror movie renaissance in the 2010s, where I think we went from having the very mean-spirited horror movies of a post 9/11 America in the 2000s and kind of getting back into a, I guess, more narrative-focused, a little more fun out of your horror movies that we got in the 2010s. So, big fan of The Conjuring. I think it is not my favorite, but I think it led to a lot of my favorites getting made.
Yeah, that's a good point. Hannah, anything on Conjuring?
I definitely agree with everything Matt said. I think The Conjuring, like you said, I'll watch it every time, and I am scared. I will scream. I will hide every single time. And I think that like not every movie can make you do that. A lot of times you see a movie, you're not as it doesn't affect you the same way the next time. And the fact that The Conjuring can consistently make me feel things is a huge win for me. And so I don't know if I would put it in my top 5 either, but I would put it in my top 10 probably. I think it's a standout.
It's easily in my one of the most important horror films of the past 2 decades, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Like just in terms of importance, I do love it.
I feel like it has great performances, great scares, just like, I hate this word, but the vibes, it's so good. Like, it very much has this aesthetic that I really enjoy.
Boy, oh boy.
Music is great.
Does it make the Warrens look good? This movie's straight propaganda.
Yeah,
but it has so much heart.
It is.
I still love it.
It is. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, my wife doesn't like horror movies, and she just watches them with me in Halloween, and stuff. But there's a scene in there. Spoiler alert. There's a scene in there where the Lily, I can't remember the actress's name, but anyway, she gets caught in the basement, and all the lights go off and stuff. And she's sitting there, and she's panicking and stuff, trying to get out the door, and she can't get out the door. And then all of a sudden, these two hands come out of nowhere and go, and,
that was one of the scares that kept me awake for weeks the first time I saw this movie. And every single time I'll be talking about this movie with someone, and I'll look at Matt and just go, like, it's so good. 10 out of 10 scare for me.
Yeah. So I have to look at these other ones. I don't know if I can say much about The Exorcist. Everyone knows The Exorcist is a masterpiece.
Yeah. It is.
What else am I supposed to say? It's great. It holds up every single time you watch it. I understand people calling it like one of the scariest movies they've ever seen. I think it's great.
So
I mean, it's hard to talk about. We are also big Nightmare on Elm Street fans over here. I think that's what got Hannah into horror.
It's what got me into horror movies. I didn't used to like them until part of the way through college, and Matt liked horror, so I was like, okay, fine, I'll give it a shot. And we put on A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I got it.
Oh, so you had a real like eureka moment.
It's the first time that I really understood. And I think that movie, I think it's partially because the concept is so fun. You have such an iconic villain in Freddy.
Who you like.
Yeah.
You almost like Freddy more than anybody else. It's like,
and
it's like Heather Langenkamp is
she's fun.
Yeah, she's great. I'm watching that, but Freddy is just such a charismatic like villain, even though he's like clearly a horrible person.
Yeah. Horrible. But yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street is also in my top 5. I love that movie so much, and I feel like it's like important to my horror.
The moment the phone turns into his tongue with the
song. Oh, it's top 5 horror moment for me too.
Yes.
Now,
Evil Dead.
I was gonna ask, original or remake?
Original.
I was going to say, so I've seen all of them recently for the first time, and I very much like it. I really like that 2014 remake of The Evil Dead. Am I crazy? Are you a fan or no?
It's okay. So I'm the actor in Evil Dead and Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 2, the trilogy of movies. His name is Bruce Campbell. I've met him twice. He
Oh,
is an
okay.
outstanding person.
Well,
I love the guy to death. He's actually sent me emails when I reached out to him just to ask him some questions.
Gosh, that's
And he
so
sent me a autographed copy of himself. And it's not like the assistant wrote it. He actually wrote out a message on it. I mean, I'm sorry. I just love the guy to death.
no,
And every time I've
again,
met him, he's just
I
awesome.
love the first one. I think I liked all of them. I watched all 5. I was just, I
Mhm.
think, very impressed with that remake, and I like, or
Because
whatever
Yeah.
we're calling it. It's more of a sequel
I feel
anyway,
like you
but
don't
Yeah.
get a lot of remakes or
that
sequels
work.
that actually work.
So I
Yeah.
wanted to be a little divisive and talk about it. But no, I
Yeah,
like
sure.
Evil Dead a lot. I don't even know if I can rank them. I think I like this. The second one might be my favorite, but there's something magical about that low budget in the first
Mhm.
one, and just that
Absolutely.
I think the ending shot of that movie really sticks in my head, of the camera
Yep.
just running along the ground through the house,
Yeah.
the door bursts open, and then
Yeah.
goes right into him. Loved it.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I really like that. Yeah.
And then The Ring. What do you think?
So this one,
I think
This is
where
the
we get
Americanized version. I'm doing the American version because I think most people know this one
yeah.
rather than
I don't like
the Japanese.
I don't love it. It's fine.
I didn't see it until like a year or two ago because, again, my horror journey is definitely shorter than Matt's.
Mhm.
So I was like, I feel like I need to see this. And so we watched it together. And I think I kind of left with just like, there were moments that definitely scared me.
Mhm.
But overall, I like a movie that like makes me feel a lot, whether that is fear, discomfort,
Mhm.
disgust. Like, I like my horror movies to really elicit a reaction from me, and I
Mhm.
don't feel like The Ring does that strongly for
Mhm.
me. But I've only seen it once, and I definitely need to rewatch, and I really want to read
Mhm.
the book that Ringu and the Ring are based off of, because I feel
Sure.
like that will definitely
It's set up more. The book is more of a mystery, with the movie
Mhm.
kind of goes horror, from my understanding. It's like
Okay.
that's my understanding. Oh no, I'm just saying it's. And I feel like when you watch the movie, the mystery elements are there, and then it just gets confusing, and then you're like, "Am I supposed to be scared? Am I trying to solve this?" And
Mhm.
it's just like,
Mhm.
it's fine. I understand. I think it also kind of shaped a generation a little bit,
Yeah.
but it just never did it for me. I've never seen Ringu though, so that's a mistake on my end, and I'd like to.
I
Yeah,
will
it's
say
only
the imagery
websites.
of Samara coming out of the TVs
Oh,
is
it's fantastic.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, that's so
Yeah,
scary.
absolutely. So, anything you guys, before we move on, anything you guys want to add to this as far as your favorites?
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
I'm ready.
I'll go quick because we talked about it a lot, but do you want me to
Yeah,
go mine?
go
All right. So, I have we'll go oldest to newest. So I have the
okay.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Also,
Mm,
my top 5s are going to change weekly, but this is what I'm feeling right now.
sure.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a immaculate piece of American filmmaking. I'll
Absolutely.
just say it that much. That movie is amazing, and I think that ending shot of our final girl in the car covered in blood
Mm-hmm.
screaming, and it's like very clear this person's life is never going to be the same again. It's
Yes.
just such it is. I can't say enough about that movie, and it's so good. We covered it, so you can come listen there. Scream, I love Wes Craven.
Sure.
Scream, I think was I saw it when I was very young. It's one that I watched with my mom. We saw Scream 4 on Easter Sunday in theaters back in the day. So
Love it.
yeah, though that franchise really just like means a lot to me, and I think that
Oh, sure.
first movie is so fun and funny and scary. It just like
Mm-hmm.
hits everything
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Yeah.
Then if we're going in order, I think Raw. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Raw is a French horror movie that I want everybody to watch.
Heard of it, have not watched it yet. It's on my list.
It is a coming of age cannibalism story about a girl that is a vegetarian that goes to vet school and is forced to eat meat for the first time. And then she gets addicted to it and starts craving people meat.
Oh, right.
It
Yeah.
is fantastic. It
Cool.
hits all the levels of let's not just be a horror genre film. Let's be this coming of age story. I also said directed by a woman, so I think you get a whole different lens because of that.
Absolutely.
After that, Midsummer, that movie leaves me smiling from ear to ear by the end.
That's a weird reaction.
Oh,
I
man.
think it's just a movie that everything comes together in such a way that just like completely makes sense. And it's like it's 3 hours long, I think, right? Or 2.5. They've
Yes.
built all these things together to make it just be this like perfect, amazing ending. And it's scary. It's interesting. And then lastly, most recent on my list, I just watched this movie and it is probably the scariest movie I've seen in 5 years. And it was Skinamarink that just came out. And I have that in my top 5. Some people hate it. I loved it because I had not had something that made me want to turn it off in a long time. If that makes sense.
Wow.
Like,
yeah,
it
sure.
was
Yeah.
an endurance test. Like, I was like, I can't
Yeah.
watch this anymore. And I just had to like power through. And I got up, the movie ended, and I stepped on a dog toy and I screamed.
Yeah.
So,
it was
which is very unlike me and Hannah can attest that I do not
He
get
does
scared.
not get worked up like that. It's always me.
Nice.
And it was made for $15,000.
Yeah.
By like
Low
one
budget
guy.
shit.
I love it.
It's really scary. So if you're
Love
the narrative is basically non-existent, but it doesn't matter because it just made me want to curl up into a ball and turn the TV off. So
nice.
My
All
list is
Go
also
ahead.
different. My list. Oh, I don't think we have any in.
It's
we're
top
laughing.
5. It's so hard to say a top 5 all time.
Yeah,
Okay.
just
Yeah. These aren't in any particular order, but I love A Nightmare on Elm Street, like we discussed. I love The Witch. I think aesthetically, it's amazing. I think the performances are really good, and I feel like the first time I saw it, I felt so much suspense and tension the whole time. Like my chest hurt because I was just waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen. Doesn't mean anything really does, but I feel like the emotions that it elicited from me what I look for. So I loved it. I feel like it's very stylized in a way that I really enjoy. I also love Barbarian, which came out in 2020.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one.
Honestly, I like it too.
So
I'm
for
sorry.
me, I kept seeing the trailers and I was like, I don't know why I want to see this. It doesn't look that standout.
Yeah, me too.
And then another friend of ours was like, oh, I also want to see that. So we went to theaters, and obviously that movie has a plot twist from hell. Like, you kind of think getting one story, and then you just get this completely other story, which I thought was really fun. I think they mixed in the humor in a really solid way to like give you that levity from all of the tension that you're getting. I also just feel like it is a good take on a lot of female anxiety or things that like cause me as a woman stress. So for me, there were pieces of it like that touched closer to home than it maybe would for someone else, like a man.
I'll also say I really like that movie. I thought I was going to pull a hamstring in the theater during some of the.
So I kept threatening to walk off. I was like, I'm leaving. I can't do this.
I could understand why when twist happens and the plot completely changes that people would be turned away. For me, it's just another example of a movie accelerating into just like madness. It was like started so simple, and then all of a sudden the scale keeps getting bigger. It keeps getting just stranger until you're going at 100 miles per hour into the credits. I really enjoy it. I like it a lot.
I would also say the Babadook. I think that is a beautiful telling of the impact of grief and trauma and loss. I really like movies that kind of have that mental health thematic element that are done in like a respectful way. And that movie scares the shit out of me.
Yes.
And
that's going to be on one of my lists later.
Yeah. My fifth, I was toying with a lot of things here, so I'm just going to go with Hereditary just because I think my opinions on that have very much, like the enjoyment I get from it very much has changed over time. The first time I saw Hereditary, I was like, I'm going to throw up. I can't do this. I don't want to be here. And that night I was like, I'm not scared to go to sleep, but I just feel so uncomfortable that I just can't. Like, I again think that's one that elicits like a lot of emotion and feeling.
Absolutely.
And so it works really well for me.
She said, I think the biggest selling point is she was like, I'm never watching that movie again.
And I wouldn't for several years.
Which tells you it's a good horror movie.
It took me a couple years, and I looked at Matt and I said, I think I'm ready. And
I love it.
think I can appreciate something that makes me feel something so viscerally
Yes,
that I can't watch it. And I also
absolutely.
think that really does, like, the thematic elements I'm really interested in, like that
There's a
exploration,
lot.
loss, mental health, etc.
There's a lot of fun themes in it. We also covered that one, so
Yes,
we got a
definitely
lot.
check that out, my spooky friends. So let's move on. Keep it moving. I'm a sucker for funny, scary movies. Those are my jam. So I'm going to go through this really quickly because if some people like them and some people are like, no, I just want to be scared, right? So Army of Darkness, that's with the Evil Dead trilogy. I've seen that movie, I'm not kidding you, 50 times, and I laugh my ass off 50 times. I just love it. What We Do in the Shadows was, to me, pure genius because Taiki Waititi, whatever his name is, took these vampires and did a documentary on it. And there's so many silly, funny things. One of my favorite scenes in any movie is one of the vampires is talking to this woman he just picked up, and she's talking about her life. Oh, I'm gonna go travel, and I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna have kids. I'm gonna get a house, and he's just like, he's gonna eat her, and she's gonna be dead in like 5 seconds. And he's just sitting there, you see his character just really uncomfortable that he has to eat her. This woman has all these dreams, and she's gonna die. And that's my dark humor. So I don't know.
Watch the show at all?
Yes, I love the show.
So we've all seen the show. You've never seen the movie, right?
I haven't seen.
We only watched the show.
But I have seen the show, and just the concept is brilliant. And I know they have like the same central concept, so like it's genius.
It's brilliant. I will say about the movie, it does drag in some places, which is because they have to set up the vampire, how vampires work, and I'm kind of like, people know that. I don't think you have to set up like they have to feed. You know what I'm saying? You could have skipped all that. I think people get that, right? The Toxic Avenger, the original. There's a new one coming out with the guy from Game of Thrones, and I can't remember the small
this one
person.
Is it Rob Stark or is it
no? It's Tyrion Lannister.
Is it Peter Dinklage?
Yeah,
Peter Dinklage. He is going to be playing the Toxic Avenger. It's the trailer's out. It looks really silly and really funny. If you haven't seen the original, that was done by Trauma Films, which does crazy stuff. I mean, just low budget. They just do weird horror movies, weird movies. Definitely check it out. Happy Death Day is one of my favorites. You guys probably familiar with this one. Have you seen this one?
Yeah,
it's on my list.
Okay, awesome.
We got one match.
Then I have a really quick tie. Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which is so silly. It's ridiculous. And then Shaun of the Dead, the same thing. If you're looking to have a good laugh, look at horror tropes and cliches and stuff, watch these movies and you'll just get a kick out of it. It will make you laugh because you're like, yeah, pretty much every horror movie has this. So what do you guys have? Do you guys watch any of these movies, or do you have any movies you like to add?
Yeah, I've seen Army of Darkness. Like I said, I watched all the Evil Dead movies, but I have on mine Evil Dead 2 instead of Army of Darkness.
Oh, sure.
Now,
yeah.
Similarly funny, I think. I think when you watch all these in a row, like I said, I've only seen them once. I watched them all for the first time. I ended up liking 2 more, and maybe it was because 2 still was like scary and funny, where Army of Darkness just went straight all funny.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where it sits for me, but I still enjoyed it. And yeah, Happy Death Day, that's on mine. That's a really fun film.
Yeah, it's a real fun movie.
And I've not seen Tucker and Dale, but it's been requested that we cover it. So at some point, I think in one of these seasons, we'll be covering that one. So
what else is on your list?
Oh, I got, what do we got here? I said Evil Dead 2, Happy Death Day. I got Scream, one of my favorites. We're going to call it a horror comedy. It's a horror satire.
Yeah,
it's horror satire.
It's great. It's funny. The performances are
absolutely.
great. You got Matthew Lillard, all right.
Love him so
There's a
much.
musical now for it, which was my idea, and somebody stole it. So
Man,
they did like a jukebox musical for it though, where they're just taking existing songs. I want to write all original music.
They changed the
I don't care.
words to the
No,
existing.
sex.
yeah.
I'm
It's so
I'm gonna get in a legal battle and right now. Yeah, Cabin in the Woods, which I mean, if you love horror movies, I feel like you're just gonna enjoy Cabin in the Woods. It's gonna make. I mean, if you love Evil Dead, you should love Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, you absolutely.
And finally, I know Hannah has this one too. Is Bodies, 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 which came out a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah. What's that about again?
Yeah, very much worth a watch. It's funny. It's scary. It's we'll tickle. We're I guess Gen Z sort of. So we're on the cusp.
Yeah.
So I think
the cusp, like right in that year where it's like I don't know where you guys fit. That's where we are. So
so I think
it very much captures like young person dipshit culture.
Yeah, it makes me happy with my brain.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Mine has overlap. The Cabin in the Woods, Scream, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies are all overlap with Matt. And then I really like Creep, which is a low
Creep.
budget,
I like Creep.
Found footage. Yeah.
We're calling that a comedy too, sort of.
It's so funny. And the second is like pure comedy. And then I really like The Menu from 2022.
Oh, right. Love The Menu. Yeah.
I love Ray Fiennes. He is so talented. Anya Taylor-Joy, love her.
That movie is the form of that movie makes it so funny too. The title cards, what's his name? What's the character's name?
Tyler.
Tyler's bullshit.
Yeah.
One of the panels, like the way that is set up, I think really
brilliant.
It's like not openly trying to be funny, but it's like every shot is set up, or every form of the film is trying to make you laugh. So,
absolutely.
Spoilers, but he turns them into s'mores at the end, and it's incredible. Putting chocolate hats on all the people's heads.
It's just brilliant. It's just such a comment on just without getting too much into it, comment on society and life and to a certain point, your dreams, like, is this, you sure you want to do this kind of attitude? Like, is this worth the cost? Right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a scene in there where, not to give it too much away, because it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie where Ralph Fiennes is talking to one of his prodigies, and basically the guy's like, "This sucks." Like, I don't want to be here. I thought it was going to be great, but it sucks.
Yes.
All right. So let's go to top 5 mess up your mind. This is one of my favorites. Scary movies. Okay. So let's start with by far the best, in my opinion, mess with your mind, 7. If you not have seen 7, you're crazy. Go out and you got to see it.
It's right here on my list.
It's also on my list.
Awesome. The human centipede, if you really want to mess your mind up, yes. American Psycho, brilliant. And if you want to get 2 movies that you will like question reality, Jacob's Ladder and Get Out. So what do you guys think?
We're all in on 7.
All in on 7. I was thinking, at first I was thinking either Get Out or Us. I think Us kind of messed with my mind a little more the first time. But I ended up pulling that from my list. Although now I'm not so sure. I might put it this list. American Psycho, definitely agreed. Like the first time I watched that, I was like, what the F? Human Centipede, I just don't want to watch.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it. I don't want to.
I think it was one that came out at a time where we were too young when it came out to see it, so we ended up like missing. So there's too many great movies out there, so I'm not going to see everything. I know all of Jacob's Ladder, and I've actually never seen that one either. But at the blind spot.
Yeah, Human Centipede, really quick. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Matt, but
not a problem.
Human Centipede, what I love about it is, spoiler alert, half the movie is the doctor telling the people what he's going to do to them. So he's like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to make you do this. And people are like, is he serious? Like, is he really going to do that? Because that's fucked up.
Yep.
And then you learn, oh my God, he's really going to do this. And that's the tension, right? You're like, oh my God, get out of there, people. Like, and they try to escape, spoiler alert, and they can't get out. They try their best to try to leave and everything. And it just they can't get out of this terrible, terrible place they are at. And Jacob's Ladder is something that basically says, okay, you want to get messed up and you want to see what people's lives look like when they're involved. And it was really strange in the sense now we would call it PTSD. That's what Tim Robbins' character had, but it's so messed up that you're just like, that poor guy. And then my favorite line that I always say, if you've seen Seven, every time I get a box, I say the same thing, and my wife is sick of it. What's in the box? Tell me what's in the box. And my wife goes, stop.
I mean, Brad Pitt is so talented. I have this debate all the time where it's he's just too handsome, so he doesn't get the roles he's best at. He's not a good leading man. He's so good at like this type of character, this like messed up character, or kind of like a goofy character, a bit actor. Like I'm thinking Inglourious Basterds, but he's just a little too hot. That he ends up, everyone wants to make him the leading man, and I don't think he wants to be that. No. Say, give me more of this. Like this might be his best performance, although Inglourious Basterds is hard to beat.
Brilliant movie.
Yeah.
So what do you guys? What do you guys? Yeah. What do you guys think?
Yeah, go for it.
What do I got on here? So I had 7. I had 4 other ones though. I think I was just trying to be fun. So I threw Midsummer on there because that movie. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
If you've seen it, you know. And then I had to throw Ari Aster's other film on there, Hereditary, because once again, and we know we've talked about other ones, it is makes me feel a lot of things, makes my brain hurt a little bit. And then we put Watcher. You had Watcher as well, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard Watcher?
Yeah. Yes.
So, okay. Watcher, that was upsetting.
It's also very much about like female anxiety and what it is like to exist in the world as a woman and have, you know, these fears and discomforts about being alone or being watched.
It's about a woman that thinks, a guy across the street is watching her and trying to kill her.
And like no one
believes her. And it just really gets under your skin because of that.
Yes.
And like you could put yourself in that same situation.
So
and then lastly, I had Possessor, which was Brandon Cronenberg's movie.
Right.
I don't know how to describe that without spoiling it all. It's about assassins that take over other people's brains to carry out the assassination in their body and do like, murder suicides. And it's a really cool movie, really fun premise. And when I think of messing up your brain, it's where I get scared to be in that position myself. And I just start staying up at night thinking about what if that were me. And that's why I got that on there. So highly recommend.
Nice.
What do you got, Hannah?
I have most of the same movies you did because we talked about this one out loud. So I have 7, Midsummer, Hereditary, and Watcher as well. And then I changed and I put Us since we just talked about that because I remember like leaving the theaters after seeing Us. And it's like the feeling that like stuck with me after. I will say I haven't seen Tusk, and I feel like if I
haven't seen Tusk either.
That would have to be on the list. Like just watching a trailer. It's on my list.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I haven't seen it.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Good movies out there. I know people are going to be mad that we haven't seen everything, but hopefully we'll cover it at some point.
Well, that's like part of our journey too. Is
I've seen so many horror movies. I've been like, Hannah, you have to see this. And then there's still stuff where it's like, you know what? I never got to that one. So eventually.
Slackers. We need to take off like a week of work and just watch all of the things that are like.
We should be able to get to all of them.
Absolutely. Yeah. So are you guys familiar with the rock artist or heavy metal artist Rob Zombie?
Yeah.
Okay. Rob Zombie, as you know, has done some crazy stuff. My personal favorite is House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects. Very like, man, that kind of falls into the movie that we just talked about, but he has every single horror movie on DVD, videotape, or Laserdisc. Every single one. He in his house, he has a room about the size of pretty much everybody's living room general. And he opens these doors. He's got like these two like crazy ornate, like evil looking doors, and he opens them up, and there's just these movies, as far as the eye can see. And he just grabs like a videotape, which is like videotape. What the hell? But he'll grab a videotape. Yeah. And it'll be like Nuns of the Dead. And he'll be like, I've seen that one 5 times. And he like goes through all the movies. He's a movie file. And he just goes, oh, I've seen Nuns of the Dead and Sacrifice Virgins from Hell. And he'll bring all these movies up. And I'm like, wow, that guy must be really messed up. But maybe he's a nice guy. I don't know.
That's my dream, to have that with movies, and then I have another library.
Yeah, we gotta get and start.
Yes.
We don't buy any print media anymore. I guess we should.
Yeah, we're bad about that.
Absolutely.
We don't have a DVD player, so we're kind of lost there.
So, yes, absolutely. So let's go on to top 5 movies that you won't sleep for a week. This is my list. Hereditary, The Babadook, Rosemary's Baby. I don't know why that affected me. I still don't know why, but whatever. Ring You, that's the Japanese version, which Matt hasn't seen, which I highly recommend. And The Vanishing. This is the 1988 foreign version. I believe it's a French version, if I remember correctly. All these movies, especially The Vanishing, where, I don't know, have you guys seen The Vanishing at all?
I have not.
Okay, so The Vanishing, as a married couple, would scare the crap out of you, because what happens it's such a basic movie, it's crazy that they make it scary. So the French version is a million times better than the remade American version with Kurt Russell. Anyway, so what happens is this guy, he just his car breaks down. He goes to a gas station, to talk to somebody. Hey, I think he just needs gas or whatever. Get fixed. He comes back and his wife is gone. So he thinks, oh, my wife just maybe got scared and she walked down to whatever. But it keeps building. He keeps asking people, hey, have you seen my wife? And people are like, no. And he's like, well, okay. And he keeps going. He keeps building. And people are like, no, you don't have a wife. And he's like, what do you mean? He goes, no, you're not married. And he's like, what? No. And people screw with his head. And then he's like, to a point where he starts to realize, wait a minute, these guys who are screwing with my head kidnapped my wife. So I got to figure out how to get my wife back. And the ending is not what you want. It is not a happy ending.
This sounds like this should have been on the Mess with Your Head list.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
That too.
It sounds like the plot of a lot of thrillers that I read.
Yes.
So I'd be super into it. It's now on my.
It's Gone Girl from Only Mixed.
But right. I'm not doing it justice. They build it so well that you're just like, oh my God, they're lying to you. And he's just like, okay. And you're just screaming at the TV or they're lying to you.
A movie for mess up your mind.
Gone Girl?
No, it's something Eraserhead.
Oh, okay.
Eraserhead, sure.
Something by David Lynch needs to be on there. Lynch. I feel like the first time I saw Eraserhead just like broke my brain in a way that was so visceral and oof. But my won't sleep for a week movies, we have some overlap there. I have Hereditary and The Babadook on my list. I also have The Conjuring. The first time I saw that, I believe I lived alone at the time. So I would just be like in bed and just like hearing that, or I'd like look up at my dresser and expect someone to like jump down from my dresser, like that scene with the armoire. So those really got me. In high school, I saw Mama, which is like not.
Oh, right.
Nobody remembers Mama.
People don't remember that.
No.
But high school me, it scared the Jesus out of me, and it's still one of those things that when I try and sleep, sometimes I see the face of Mama in the shapes in
Mhm.
my head. I don't have the kind of brain that creates pictures, but
Yes.
I still manage to create pictures of her. And then I'd also say Rec, which is a Spanish language found footage movie, which is
I'll have
extremely
to check that
terrifying.
one out. And
There was
also, go ahead.
sorry, so there's an American remake called Quarantine that came out a decade ago, longer, and I haven't seen that one, but I've seen Rec, and I agree with Hannah. So
Yeah.
And
A lot.
I give you credit, Hannah, with Mama. That freaked me out too, especially the beginning, where hopefully it's the same one we're talking about, where it's the cabin in the woods and those two little girls have been left there. And the person goes in and the little girls are like scattering along like little insects. They're like, and I'm like, damn.
So unsettling.
There's like 10 people that are listening right now that have seen that movie, and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe they're having like a grand blast right now." And I'll be like, "I forgot about that."
Yeah, that one. It was also like I didn't watch horror movies in high school. Like if you put on Coraline, I would cry. Let alone
You still would.
That's true. And I saw Mama in theaters with some friends, and I was like, of course I'm gonna go. Like, I'm not that big of a chicken. And so I think because I saw it in theaters and I like lived right near some woods, it was bad for me. But yeah.
All right.
What's yours?
Well, I would say, I like your list.
Yeah.
But I gotta differentiate. I gotta throw my own out there. So
yes, please.
First one is Skinamarink, bringing that up again. I didn't actually have nightmares, which I was surprised by. But I haven't had nightmares from movies in a long time, and I thought that would have been the one. But I think I just maybe I've outgrown that. We'll see. But that movie had me pretty shook. I have the Babadook on there because when I did watch that, I remember not being able to sleep that night. I don't know. I think it was another one I watched with my mom, and I'm pretty sure she felt the same way. We both were like, we didn't get sleep that night after the first time seeing that. Which I talked to some people and they think that one's dumb, and I was like, I
don't understand.
It worked for me.
Yeah,
I let that movie.
Sure.
I also have Rec on my list. It's great.
Right.
For anyone who hasn't seen it, it's about a late night news anchor or whatever. She's not even an anchor. You know, she's like some. I was going to say peasant in the news anchor world. No, what word am I looking for? She's low level video journalist, but clearly like she's been put on the night shift of go with this fire department and do this, be real documentary on them. And she ends up going along with them where they respond to some weird thing happening in a building, and then she gets quarantined with the fire department inside the building because there's an outbreak of something.
Oh,
it's all shot. It's found footage, so it's all shot from like her.
It is scary.
Okay,
yeah,
I'll check that out.
I have so another foreign language one, The Wailing, which is a South Korean film. I don't know how to describe it other than this movie is just evil. It's like has a lot of evil. There's a lot of how do I even describe it? You saw it.
I don't remember it that well. It wasn't as impressionable to me as it was for you.
It's good. It messed me up. And this one's really silly, but it has to go on here. The last one is Signs. Purely for that one scene that everyone who's seen it knows, which is where they're at the birthday party and they're watching the news of the birthday party in Mexico, and you just see this alien walk across the screen. And it's one that is just burned into my brain. I can see it exactly how it was, and I can feel the way I felt the first time I saw it. And it's like panic-inducing. So
I don't do well with alien stuff. So
that movie's also great. Overall, that movie's not that scary. It's a very good time, but that scene is it's pee pants scary, as we like to say.
Yeah, exactly. So here's I'm gonna do some quick fire questions for you guys while we're wrapping up here. Quick fire. And I'll start with this. Hannah, have you ever peed your pants watching a horror movie?
I haven't.
I haven't peed my pants, but I've been worried I would pee my pants.
Gotcha. Yeah, I got you.
You peed your pants on the Spider-Man ride at Universal.
I peed my pants in line for a ride at Universal because I was really scared.
Oh, okay.
Dribble. It wasn't like a full.
Okay, so was it like,
No, I've never needed to change my pants as an adult.
Okay, it wasn't like soaking.
It was like a little fear dribble, but I haven't gotten that from watching a movie.
Okay, next question. have you ever screamed out loud in a movie theater when no one else is screaming and felt embarrassed?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I wouldn't say I felt embarrassed.
Yeah, maybe I felt embarrassed, but I mean, we just saw Night Swim, and I still managed. And like that was
Not a good movie.
not a good movie, and there was still a scene or two where I did scream out loud, and then I was like, I hate myself for that, but like, it got me. Can't help it.
Okay. Have you, either one of you, when you've been sleeping in bed, have had a nightmare and punched the other person in the face?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. You punched me, right?
Punched me.
Okay.
I don't think it was from a nightmare, but I actively the other night, like very dramatically, like freaked out and then started like backing up into you.
Oh,
like,
I do remember. You were screaming too.
Yeah, that one was bad.
Yeah, that scared me. She woke up like yelling. And I was like, "You're okay." I had to like grab her. Yeah, that was funny.
I think I had a little sleep paralysis, to be fair, but
Yes, and sleep paralysis is no fun. I did a episode on the Hat Man, which is typically seen in sleep paralysis.
yeah,
It's
Or
crazy.
you take a lot of Benadryl. That's what we're saying. You take
a lot of Benadryl. That works. Okay, last question. Matt, I will start with you. If you were to write a horror movie, what would it be about?
Oh my god! If I were to write a horror movie, do you have an answer? Because I will think.
I would. I know you asked him, but I'll intervene and say for a long time, as Matt mentioned earlier, we discussed writing a Scream musical, which was my idea. So it was kind of sad to see that there was the Scream parody musical in Vegas, because I was like, no, I was going to do this. No, I don't have the musical talent to make this happen. I was determined. So that was the idea that I had for a long time, because I love musicals and I love Scream, and I just feel like it can't be enough that like the combo works. But in terms of like a legit horror movie, I feel like mine would have to be something in the same vein of, again, like I've mentioned, talking about like either something mental health or trauma based, or again, like the anxiety of like being a woman in this world, I feel like is always really impactful for me. So I don't have like a plot offhand, but I know like ultimately the themes or the feelings I would want to elicit.
Yeah, we're
Matt? I think the route I need to go has to be probably not paranormal. You know, slightly. It's the feeling of like the home invasion. One of the scariest imageries for me would be to standing at a window and looking like you live in a suburb and on a cul-de-sac, and someone just standing, like it's just a shadow, just like staring at the window, not moving, and you're just stuck, just like looking at that. Whatever it is, I don't know, but I feel like that's and maybe every time they're closer. They move, so they get in the house eventually.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the route I would go. That's the basis of it. But it would be just something watching. You don't know what it is, whether it's that threat or not, but it continues to come closer, and you're kind of just stuck.
It sounds like Insidious.
Right. I think I would have it be. I think I'd have it be a kid home alone. Parents are out to dinner, and they're checking the window, and they just keep seeing this figure, and it moves, and then they're locking the doors, and then it's somewhere else.
The question is like by the end of the movie, is the thing real or like a?
That's a good question. I think that we don't know. I feel like it has to be. It should be a paranormal thing. It's not going to be a real person.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's a shadow monster of some sort.
All right.
I like that. I like both your ideas. Let's call Blumhouse and see what they're looking at and get that going.
Well, our buddy wrote Malignant 2 for them and pitched it on one of our episodes, so maybe we should go with that.
Yeah, maybe I'll just.
Or so it's Malignant 2000. So
I love it. Absolutely love it. So you guys, I could talk to you for hours, and I would love to have you back on the show. We can talk about more movies, maybe do some Halloween themes or something like that. If you guys would be up for that, that would be awesome.
We appreciate you having us on.
Yeah. Oh, no problem. So let me ask you this. What are you guys coming up? What do you guys, looking at here that I can, my spooky friends can check out?
We just started a new series called Movie Rec Monday. So we're still doing our normal Wednesday episodes where we're just like talking, reviewing a movie. But Movie Rec Monday is a new series specifically where we're going to talk for like 10, 15 minutes spoiler free about movies you might not have seen or heard of.
that we want you to see.
that are like not as frequently discussed or reviewed, but we think everyone should see. So a couple of the movies we actually talked about in this episode, like Raw or Creep, are actually some of the episodes that we've released on that. And we're going to keep doing that. Some other fun like main episodes we're going to do is horror and non-horror media, like things like Jurassic Park. That's not horror, but like has horror elements, or Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi. So, you know, you definitely get that horror theming with Doc Ock. So that'll be a fun one coming up.
But overall, we got episodes every Wednesday, all kinds of movies. We got a backlog of stuff now. So we're nice. Social media stuff.
You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Horror Hour with the Hannas. And our episodes are published on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, the whole shebang.
Love it. Love it. Love you guys. You know, I have a feeling one of these days I want to pull a good prank on you guys. I'm going to try to figure that out. Like maybe you come home and like a monster chases you around for an hour and I videotape, I put it on, you know, live.
Now, and I will pee my pants. You will.
Okay, so we end every show by we say hi to your ghost. Hello, ghost, because you know you might have a ghost in there.
Hi, ghost.
And we say stay spooky.
All right, stay spooky.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone.
Everybody loves a good ghost story. From the renowned haunting of the Amityville Horror House to the lesser-known curse of the Bassano Vase, legends of the ghostly and macabre have been fascinating and frightening us for centuries. But have you ever wondered if there's any truth behind the lore? Over the last 8 years that I've spent as a paranormal researcher, I have constantly asked one important question. Is this a hoax, or could it truly be a haunt? I'm Courtney Hayes, host of the podcast Haunts, where every week I dissect another ghostly legend in an effort to find the truth that lies within. Listen to Haunts for free on your favorite podcasting app and help me to unveil the unknown.